Hi everyone, my name is Iain Swanston. I'm the founder of Klozers. Many thanks for considering our sales team coaching service, and we've put together this short video to help you understand how our sales coaching works. If you're watching this, I know you're in sales, which means you will be busy, so I'm going to dive right in. First up, why sales team coaching? Well, the reality is every company, every sales team we work with are very different and they have different challenges. But if we had to have a top three in terms of the problems we solve, this would be it. One, only 23.4% of salespeople are hitting their target. Now, this could be caused by many different things, some of which might be out with the sales rep's control. But either way, the majority of reps are not making their targets. Next up, 85% of employees do not feel engaged. This predominantly plays out in one of two ways. Either your salespeople quit and you now have a hiring problem, or they stay and you slowly develop a sales culture of what we call satisfactory underperformance. If your sales reps are not extremely upset about missing their sales targets and therefore their commission, bonus, compensation, whatever you call it in your business, then you have a problem. Lastly, productivity is a problem for most companies. The funny thing about salespeople is they are always busy, but being busy is not the same as being productive. It's not the same as being effective. Being busy does not guarantee you will hit your target, and more often than not, salespeople are busy on activities that are not aligned with the organization's sales goals. So most of our clients come to us originally for sales training, and that's great. It's a huge part of our business and we always get great results. But in many cases, companies want to dive into training way too quickly and they simply don't get the results they were looking for. I'm sure you're aware of Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve, and you can see from the study that after 30 days, if there is no form of reinforcement, people just forget all the new strategies and tactics that they learned in the training. There are obviously a number of things that we can do to increase the learning retention, but I'm sure the results in this chart are not what you're looking for. Our sales team coaching uses a system based on OKRs and Sprints. And the reason it is so powerful is simply because as human beings, we learn by doing. Right? 70% of learning is by doing. When you get this right, magical things start to happen, like salespeople hitting their quotas. If you're in SaaS, this particular structure will be familiar to you. However, these principles apply to any sales structure. If you have a field sales rep, a team of field sales reps, or if you have a team of key account management reps, having a common sales methodology and driving productivity across the team is key to your success. Our sales team coaching gives your sales team a framework, a system, and a process to follow. What's probably more important is your sales team will feel more engaged, more empowered, and their productivity will rise. The sales team coaching is designed around a management system, as I mentioned, called OKRs. That stands for Objectives and Key Results. You may already be using this in your team, which is great, but if not, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how the OKR system works with reference to sales and sales coaching. So, sales training is great and it is impactful. However, if you're serious about growth and scaling your sales, then you need to include all the other areas of sales. This is where by using OKRs and sales sprints, we can really accelerate your growth. If you can imagine a staircase, traditional sales training will move you up to the next step, whereas our sales team coaching will move you up to the top of the stairs. If you've never heard of OKRs before, that's okay. Here are just a few of the large brands, organizations that are already using it. It's a very well proven methodology. So, what are OKRs and how do we use them for sales team coaching? Firstly, the best thing about the OKR methodology is the simplicity. This is a brief overview of the process that we use for the sales team coaching. Typically, we're going to run a number of workshops, a minimum of 3 workshops in that first month. And The first workshop, session 1, is about objective setting. And what we're looking for are 5 big, ambitious goals, 5 strategic sales objectives that would really transform your sales and move your organization forward. Here's an example of the workflows that we work with you to create. In terms of the workshop outcomes, we typically are looking for 5 strategic objectives. Later in the process, however, we would get the sales team to choose 3 from the 5 because it's super important to include them as much as possible. Depending on the size of your team, you may have less or more than 3 objectives, and that's really dependent on the amount of resources you've got to manage and work those objectives. Next up is session 2, where we drill down into the key results of each objective, and we do that both with the leadership team and the sales team. These are workshop style sessions, and again, they can be delivered online or in person in your boardroom, in a conference centre, whichever is going to work best for your team. Here's an example of the workflow after session 2 with all the key results documented. And what's important here is by showing a clear path between the day-to-day activities of the sales team and the company's sales strategy, everybody understands their why and the importance of their role. This helps solve the problem of engagement that we talked about earlier. By building in sprints, we not only start to drive the productivity across the sales team, but we're also ensuring that the work being done is 100% aligned with our overall sales strategy. The reason this is so powerful and that it works is that every single part of the process is bespoke to your organisation and your sales team. By engaging and involving the salespeople at the design stage, they feel a sense of ownership, which means they are much more likely to get stuck into the sales activities that have been agreed. So because it's bespoke, because it's completely unique to your organisation, that third session where we kick off the sprints could be on anything. It could involve training, it could involve coaching. But whatever it is, it's got a direct link between the objectives that you set and the key results that you agreed in the first 2 sessions. Many of you will already be using KPIs, which is great. And if you're wondering what the difference is, here's a brief overview. KPIs, as you know, are key performance indicators. OKRs are objectives and key results, and they actually work at a different level. So in terms of a KPI, KPIs are typically used to measure performance and quality. OKRs, on the other hand, are objectives which are inspiring big goals, big ambitious goals. KPIs measure BAU, your business as usual, and can indicate when an objective is required. Key results, on the other hand, measure the outcomes and progress towards those big ambitious goals. You can include KPIs in your key results, and OKRs, I guess the main difference is that OKRs drive change, improvement, and innovation, whereas KPIs are just a measurement of what's happening in the organisation. Let me try and show you how this works in real life, so to speak. So many of our clients, as I said, are already using KPIs, which is great. However, if you're not already doing this, we would always recommend you group your KPIs into what we call the high value areas of sales, which are finding, closing, growing, and developing. Now, here's an example of some different KPIs. And if you remember what we said, KPIs measure what's happening in the business, your business as usual activities, and OKRs are for change, improvement, and innovation. So what we can do is we can take one of those KPIs that we want to improve, and from there we can define an objective. Once we've got that objective, what we then do is work back through that into what are the key results that would validate those improvements. And lastly, we would plan the sales sprints, which are the activities that we need to do to generate those key results. The key difference here is that any training is targeted and has a direct correlation with an objective that is really important to the business. This is why the approach is very different and obviously gets very different results. We take the sales activities that drive your key results and turn them into sales sprints. Each sprint starts at the beginning of every calendar month and runs for 3 weeks. We use Microsoft Teams for all our sales team coaching and sprint tracking, and that way we can record everything from the high-level objectives down to the sprints themselves. This gives everyone a clear sight of what they're working on and the progress that they are making. It's important that we have a solid structure in place and a framework to follow. So, as you would expect, we have weekly, monthly, and quarterly meetings with you, but we also have ad hoc meetings which are there to support each sprint. In these meetings, the agenda, the frequency is driven by the needs of the sprint and by your team, and they change over time as your needs would change. Wherever possible, we use sales tools, templates and frameworks to help our clients move forward faster and easier. We've got over 100 templates that are included in the program, and we can help you customize them for your business as we go through this coaching and training process. What our clients really love about the sales training and the sales team coaching is that we only ever teach our clients sales strategies and tactics that are proven in our own business here at Klozers. That way we have a really deep understanding of how things work, and we're happy to show you examples of our own OKRs and how we are progressing against them, warts and all. We've got an open book here. That's it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm genuinely not aware of any other program like this. We love this program because it is so powerful, and more importantly, it always delivers results, which our clients obviously love. So if you're open-minded enough to just have a conversation and explore if this approach might work for you and your sales team, then jump over to klozers.com, K-L-O-Z or Z, depending on where you're dialing in from, klozers.com. We'd love to have a more in-depth conversation with you, answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for your time again, and we would look forward to talking to you. Thank you.